Greetings again, boys and girls at Faith Bible Fellowship Church. This is Pastor Wes, again with
Dothen
and
Simon Simon.
And we are so excited as we're getting toward the very end of the book to share with you today chapter 10, which is Shepherds and the Delectable Mountains. Are you guys ready for chapter 10?
Yeah.
All right, so chapter 10, Shepherds and the Delectable Mountains. The pilgrims kept walking and began to climb up some mountains. They were named the Delectable Mountains because they were beautiful, filled with all kinds of delicious, mouth-watering fruit trees, delightful gardens, vineyards, and fountains of water. They began to talk to some shepherds who were feeding their flocks there. "Whose mountains are these?" Christian asked. "And whose sheep feed here?" "These mountains belong to the king," replied one of the shepherds. "You can see the celestial city in the distance. These sheep also belong to him. He laid down his life for them." "Is this the way to the celestial city? And is it safe or dangerous?" "It's safe for those who seek after the king, but some stumble in it," one of the shepherds said. "Is there a place you know where the pilgrims may rest?" Christian wanted to know. "Oh yes, the king told us to take care of his people who come by here. Please stay here for a while to get to know us better. We want you to find comfort here," said one of the shepherds. The 4 shepherds were pastors named Knowledge, Experience, Watchful, and Sincere. They asked questions about Christian and Hopeful's journey and gave them a tasty meal. They prepared comfortable beds for them. In the morning, the shepherds led them on a walk across the mountains to see more of their beauty. Along the way, they also took them to 3 places that were warnings to the pilgrim. They came to the top of a steep hill called Error, which means wrong belief. The pilgrims looked down and saw the bodies of those who had died when they fell from the top. The shepherds explained, "People sometimes leave the narrow way and wander up here alone to get a better view. They come too near the edge of this mountain called Air, fall off, and are killed." Next, they went to the mountain of Caution. They saw people stumbling around like they were blind in the far distance. "What does this mean?" the pilgrims wanted to know. "They are some of Giant Despair's victims at Doubting Castle. If he does not kill them, he pokes out their eyes and leaves them to wander around blind until they die." Christian and Hopeful looked at each other and began to cry. They knew they had come very close to the same thing happening to them. Then the shepherds led them into a valley where there was a door in the mountainside. They opened the door and asked the pilgrims to look in. They heard a rumbling noise like a fire and someone screaming in pain. It was very dark, and the smell of smoke and brimstone nearly choked them. "This is a door to hell," the shepherds said, "for all those who hate the gospel, for hypocrites and pretenders like Esau, who sold his birthright, and Judas, who betrayed Jesus." All these things made the pilgrims think hard. It is true that at one time each of these people wanted to go on a pilgrimage. Hopeful asked slowly. "Yes," answered the shepherds. The pilgrims looked at one another and said, "We had better look to the strong one, Jesus himself, for strength." "You will certainly need that strength for the rest of the journey," the shepherds agreed. "Now, let's show them the gates of the celestial city and let them look through our binoculars," the shepherds said excitedly. They took Christian and Hopeful to the top of a high hill called Clear and let them look toward the celestial city. In the distance, the pilgrims thought that they saw something like a gate. The beauty of the place dazzled their eyes. Next, one of the shepherds gave them a note with directions for the rest of the narrow way. Another warned them to be careful of the flatterer. And the third told them not to sleep on the enchanted ground. And the fourth said, may God lead and protect you as you travel.
Dad?
Yeah?
Why he said not sleep on the ground?
We'll find out in the next chapter, because they might never wake up. Christian and Hopeful went down the mountain along the road toward the city. Soon they came upon a lively young man named Ignorance. He came from the city of Conceit, walking on a crooked lane to join the pilgrims on the narrow way. He said he was on his way to the celestial city. You may not be able to get to the city, Christian told him. The king's pilgrims must come in at the small gate and go to the cross. Don't worry about me. I know God's will just as well as you do, Ignorance said. I live a good life. I pay my debts. I pray and give offerings. But, said Christian, you came in through that crooked path over there. I'm afraid that you will not get into the celestial city. Stop making such a fuss, said Ignorance. You follow what you believe, and I'll follow what I believe. We'll all make it in the end, I hope. Christian and Hopeful looked at each other. Ignorance was wise in his own eyes, Christian said. A fool has more hope than he does. Then he added, a fool lacks sense and shows everyone how unwise he is. They decided to walk ahead of Ignorance and leave him to think about what they had said. Hopeful said, I don't think we should tell him anything else right now. Let's give him time to think about what we've said. So they both went on ahead, and Ignorance fell behind them. And that is the end of chapter 10.
And that's Satan.
Yeah, next week we will see chapter 11, where they will meet Little Faith and...
Who's Little Faith?
We'll see who Little Faith is and the evil flatterer.
Well, I think he's big and he's little.
We'll see next week. Can you say bye to everyone?
Bye.
Bye, everyone.